I think, putting the two sets of data together, both have some merits, is that the economy is still on the path of stabilization, but it's a pretty treacherous path because the system is working against some very sizable, immense downward pressure still coming from, first and foremost, the housing sector. And then, of course, there is all this debt problem that they still need to resolve. So I think the story is not so much changed in the sense that it is a recovery, but it is a weak one.
It is a recovery and it's a weak one. How do you look at what the private sector companies are feeling about business conditions in the region? Because the copy that's accompanied this breakdown of the data says that the services activity has accelerated on boost from new orders, and the discrepancy between the private sector PMI gauge versus the public sector, the official manufacturing, is the size of the companies, because these are smaller private entities. And so should we be giving any credence to this data point?
Well, it does show, some parts of the economy still is improving. Right? I guess if we look at the service side of things, especially if we're talking about, people still very much more willing to move around, even though spending less. I really think, for such a big economy like China, you do need all data points. All of them have some merits. They capture some slice of the economy that's telling you something. Yeah.
And all of this is coming where you've got pretty much, this is called a spade, deflationary conditions almost when it comes to China. So you would expect to see spend coming through on the services side, because it doesn't cost any more money, plus you're getting all of this stimulus. But the question would be, in so much as we can call it a recovery or we can call it stabilization, doesn't it realistically open the door that if there is any other further negative catalyst, there could be a lot more trouble, and there could be the need for quite more substantive stimulus coming through from the central authorities?
Yeah. Actually, to be frank, I don't think anything has happened and should be called stimulus. They are stopgap measures. Even, the extra 1 trillion CGV issuance, right? If you compare that number with the amount of land sales revenue that's lost because of the housing correction, it's not even enough. So we're just moving from a phase that the government wasn't so much worried about the economy. Now they start to worry and they start to put a stop to the decline. It is improvements, but at the same time, if you listen to them, they're not thinking about maximum stimulus either. It's about fixing the system, try to resolve the debt problem, which I think in some way it's a right one. So to me, the most important thing is how do they stabilize the housing sector, particularly how do they address the developer issue.